Hey there, YouTube land, and today we're talking about it finally. We've gotten to the third film, and I guess in the Thorne Trilogy, which some people would call the Thorne duology, since it really kind of is hinted at in part 5. But it has Jamie Lloyd all throughout. And we're going to give our thoughts on the film, the casting, the overall trilogy itself, where it went, where it could have went, wasted opportunities, and lots more, right?
Yeah.
So we just finished watching the producer's cut of Halloween Part 6.
First time you could legally
Curse of
do
Michael Myers.
so.
True. Of course, I've seen it for many years. I bought it on VHS back in the day, and it was horribly. You could hardly see anything. There was a timer down below and a big black, bar type thing, those counter timers, and the sound was off. It was just really hard to watch. So this was. First off, let's talk about the quality.
Yeah.
Wow.
Considering
I don't think we'd ever see this quality for this film.
No. It was definitely a lot better than what you could see before, and it's a lot better actually than the quality of the theatrical cut version I have.
The remastering of this is incredible, and they have just done an amazing job in putting this movie together.
Said in the other reviews, but in 4 and 5, when there's scenes where you can maybe see Michael's face because it's in darkness, the quality's so good you can usually see Michael's face.
Yeah, pretty good. Like, Michael, you've turned into a Cherokee Indian. That's very different.
Yeah.
But Part 6, the quality's on par with Parts 4 and 5, but even a little bit better, I think, actually.
Better than Part 5, at least.
Definitely, and picture quality for sure.
Yeah.
And the sound quality is excellent. Like I said, sound quality is superb in this film.
I didn't really notice any of the, as mentioned in the comments on one of our other videos. I didn't see any real audio syncing problems.
Part 4 and 5, there's a couple seconds here and there where
Part 5 was the most jarring. Actually.
Yeah, had a couple audio sync problems
where it was visual, very visible.
That there was, yeah, but it didn't last for very long.
No.
But it was just I'm a big person when it comes to the audio sync of a film, so it can kind of take me out if it lasts. But especially if you get a movie and it's totally synced out, I hate that.
Yeah.
But there's just a couple of seconds and a few scenes in parts 4 and part 1 and part. I think really only one scene in part 4.
Yeah.
And there's a couple in part 5.
Yeah.
But there's no audio syncing issues in part 6 at all. They really, this was obviously their baby of the set, the master, and they spent the brunt of the time, I think, in the set working on part 6.
Everybody's looking forward to it.
Yeah, this was the one people were buying the set for. Let's be honest here. And let's see if people got what they wanted. Well, there's a lot of features on this, and I watched a lot of them actually previously to watching this film today, and the features are pretty incredible. I want to go back and listen to the audio commentary, but let's get into the film itself.
Yeah.
So we start out with the actual thank you narration by Donald Pleasance, which is missing in the theatrical version. What was it? You saw the theatrical version.
I did. I saw it recently.
Who did the? Was it?
There was no narration, I don't think.
Wasn't.
I'm pretty. If I remember, I don't remember the beginning very well. I just remember it basically just shows she has a baby and escapes thing really fast.
We have a bigger scene for the opening there. J.C. Brandy, of course, let's get this out of the way. Takes over the role from Danielle Harris. And I think she's an English actress that's doing the role. Now she has taken. She's playing Jamie Lloyd, and at the time it was very controversial because Danielle Harris was pretty much screwed over by the company and said, we'll just pay you scale because you're not an important character. You're going to die in the first third of the movie anyway, and you're only a scale character. You're not important. After her pretty much anchoring 4 and 5, she was very insulted, and she didn't take the minimum wage, basically, job that they offered her, and I don't blame her for it. All that being said, how does J.C. Brandy do in the role of Jamie Lloyd? Really, really good, actually.
For what's there.
For what she has to do, she fits the character.
Yeah.
I could totally see her as Jamie Lloyd. There wasn't, I know, obviously, this isn't Danielle Harris, but I didn't think, this character isn't true to the Jamie Lloyd character. She's actually very true to the Jamie Lloyd character. They picked a girl that had a good look that you could actually picture, okay, maybe this was what Jamie would look like when she got older. I remember Jamie's 16 now. And it's You know, I gotta say, what do you think, J.C. Brandy?
J.C. Brandon was okay as Jamie, but because the part is so small, we don't actually get to see how she would have like stacked up, especially acting wise, to how Daniel Harris was doing.
Though I think
Because she doesn't have that many lines.
No, but even that, I mean, like for the scene she has and like the running and the thing, she does a good job.
Yeah,
and
she does a good job.
And
but
to
it's
play the
essentially
fear,
just a long chase scene.
yes, but to play the fear is not an easy thing to do. I've seen some movies where you have some horrible girls.
Oh yeah,
doing that. Especially if you watch a lot of slasher movies like I do, you understand there's an art to like getting this type of role down right, and some people just don't do it.
Yeah, but I think that Daniel Harris.
Let me put you this way.
Yeah.
Remember watching the movie where the dude that escapes from the hospital?
Oh God.
So that
did we even do a review on that one?
We did it. We're done here.
Okay.
So that shows you what.
Awful.
Yeah, and those actresses.
Yeah, but like the thing about it is though, like Daniel Harris got to do a lot more with it. Like there was more than just the fear. She had like a lot. She had the scenes of like in part 5, which was an awful film, but still she had the scenes where she could like do like really pull off the like she can see him, or in the other film like pull off the emotional scenes. Sadly, Jamie in this film doesn't get any of that. She just gets an extended chase scene. But you know, she does good for the extended chase scene.
She does a good job. She's
it's
got
more a complaint about the film than it's about anything, because she doesn't get to have what she had in the other films. She isn't that important, sadly.
Daniel Harris's character, if she'd been put into it, the writer had wanted to do a lot more with her. The director pretty much screwed that up, and he screwed up the chance. Well, he was pretty much blocking the writer on a lot of things. There's a big power pull there. And basically, well, it didn't, that didn't turn out well. But I love her what's really her last line is, Michael, you can't have the baby.
You can't have the baby. It's the same in both versions.
And she does it so well. She does it so well. Like, you're like,
it's her only,
she
like,
seems,
really
that's her Jamie moment.
Yeah, that is.
Thankfully, because we'll go like back and forth sometimes, talking a little bit about theatrical, but not too much.
Yeah.
But the death is very different, and thank God. I hated the death in the theatrical version.
Yeah.
It's much more over the top. It's much about. It's very Friday the 13th, but it doesn't suit a Halloween film. And it doesn't suit Jamie's character to have her killed off in that way. She goes, still trying to fight, and we'll get to the part. And it's like, yes, only a small scene, but it's a dignified death for a character that's fought hard.
I wouldn't say it's her dying at all is terrible. That was an awful idea.
To kill her off?
As a whole. She had so much potential as a character. It's the same with Rachel in the last film. She had so much potential going forward as a character, just to have it snuffed out in the first third of a film.
Well, we gotta...
And that seems to be a progressive problem with the parts 5 and 6 of the Thorne trilogy. Taking characters in the last film are one of the shining, parts of it, and then just saying, no, throw that out. New stuff today.
But that being said, because some of Part 5's characters are so bad, and, Part 4's characters are good, the acting overall, except for one glaring example, and the, though that is, and the characters are way, way better. I mean, we have characters that you easily get invested in, and I got to be honest that I wanted to see more of. I wish they'd been in the movie more. I wish there'd been I wish there had been a follow-up to this. I wish I'd seen when it happened, because Paul Rudd's Tommy Doyle character is amazing.
Tommy's a really
He
cool
is the
character.
Tommy Jarvis of the series right now. He's a cool character. He's got a cool look to him.
Tommy's a character that's never used, at all, really, in Halloween fiction, despite the fact that there's, a wealth of stuff you could do there with him. He's been used in this film, which I still don't like, which is, by the way, spoiler alert, me and him have differing opinions on this film. He was used in one of the comics. We mentioned Night Dance on the other review. He was used on the, I think, 30th anniversary comic, which explained in another way that he still kept the memories of Michael with him to this day.
Yeah.
And he's never used enough. There's a bunch of things from the original that are never really used enough. I don't think you see the sheriff again after part 2.
Actually,
that would have been interesting.
Akkad, I was rumored that Mustafa Akkad,
yeah,
that the zombie Ween got made, but he had wanted to have to use Charles Cyphers, who played Sheriff Brackett, to bring him back for what the next movie was going to be. Before, of course, he passed on and ended up going with the Rob Zombie version.
See, there was a lot of stuff that they didn't use from the original, and this is one of the few ones where it does kind of like harken back with Tommy, and it's done well. I like Tommy, despite the fact I like the obsessed Tommy. I don't like what the obsessed Tommy finds out, though.
Well, we'll get into that after.
Yeah.
But we meet the character of Tommy Doyle, and right away he kind of just draws you in. He has this kind of the intensity, but a different type of younger, more youthful, more just intensity that a young Sam Loomis might have.
Very
but he just
young
takes
Sam
it in a
Loomis.
very different direction. He's still like he's got the obsession. It's very channeled and very different, and he's very smart. He can pick up on things that like Sam's older, and Sam may not pick up on, but he does, and it's really great to see that happen. I got to say right from the beginning, J.C. Brandy had me as the actress. Thought she did a great job. Danielle Harris thought she did a great job. Just so you know, we'll put that on record that Danielle Harris is friends with J.C. Brandy. So give up the hate now. Those actresses are actually friends. They like each other. They know each other. They did yoga class together, and so pretty much both thought that they were wasted in the role, and what could have been
Anyone
a
in that
bigger
role
role.
would be wasted, honestly,
But
because the character
that being said,
Jamie
right
was
off
wasted.
the soundtrack for Part 6 is much better than the soundtrack for Part 5.
No, we did note that some of the scoring is a little off.
Yeah, but it wasn't to
It's
the
not
point of like
too bad.
No,
That's you saw my review last night. You know that scoring in Part 5 was just
that
also,
and the beginning sequence for, and I wasn't here when you did Part 5. I was actually snoring away.
Yeah.
But the opening scene for Part 5 with the aggressive pumpkin.
I forgot to mention that.
Thing. And basically what the composer did, because I watched like one of the documentary things on it, and he took the entire the whole thing, dun, and he put it onto one key with knife slices, and he put different versions of it during the knife slices, and it's really weird. Alan Horst did a great job scoring Part 5, but Part 4, but Part 5 score is really off. I mean, from the opening sequence, the goofy thing that you expect to see, I don't know, Last House on the Left, because didn't that have like kind of those the goofy cops, remember? And that one as well, kind of weird scene. But this just it made no sense. But the score over here, there's a couple of times when the stingers seemed out of place, and a little heavy-handed. But the overall scoring for this one here was a step above Part 5, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this now. I mentioned this at the end of my review last night for it. I do like 6 more than I do 5, because 6 is a better film as a film.
It is, and the sets.
5 is just awful.
The sets are better here.
Yeah.
The mask is better than Part 5. Not as good as Part 4. The mask is not as good as Part 4, but it's good. George P. Wilbur is back to play Michael, and people make comments about as Matthew did actually.
I did.
When we're watching the movie, so he's a tubbier Michael and stuff like that. But I don't know, maybe I'm a purist, but I can get behind that. I mean, like Michael hasn't been comatose. He hasn't not been eating, or he's been in this place for 6 years. What's been done or what's been on, but also Michael's older. Like this has followed a natural progression, and Michael's gotten older, and you gain a little bit of poundage as you get older. I don't care who you are, but it doesn't. It's not like out of place. It's not like he's not muscular. He's stockier, but he still has. He's still imposing, and that's done well. We get more of the back shots too, like we had in Part 5, which was one of the good things about Part 5. Is when we'd get a couple of those, like harkening back to Part 1, when you see like Michael kind of like in the background, which wasn't done in Part 4 really, which was kind of a shame because Part 4 is probably its only really missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Are those suspenseful sequences there?
Because it goes for the whole him as a force of nature, but I do like the idea of him not only being the dangerous force of nature, the huge threat, but also he's in the background. The only real scene where it's you can see him in the background, he's coming as a threat. In 4 was the diner scene when
diner scene was amazing.
Looks over and sees him like that. But I think 4 could definitely benefited from more of those him in the background, it's coming scenes.
Part 6 sets up the characters are probably the best since Part 4. Mitchell Ryan is there to play Dr. Wynn now. And Dr. Williams is a character that's been in the original film, of course.
Yeah.
If you remember the sequence where Loomis is talking to this guy outside of the outside of Smith Grove, and he says, no, he can't get anywhere, he can't drive, and kind of Loomis basically says, well, he was doing pretty well last night. Well, that's the Wynn character. It's a different actor. It's Mitchell Ryan in here, and kind of like a personal aside here. When I was writing, and I was actually writing for like scripts that I wanted to shop around. Some were like Halloween scripts, and some were like Friday the 13th scripts. I always had Mitchell Ryan in mind for Elias Voorhees. So it was kind of ironic when I saw them play the Man in Black. I was like, he's perfect. You couldn't have picked a better guy for the Man in Black than him. I mean, the only other way that I would have went, and at the time when the Man in Black character was being done, I had my own fan fiction. I'm a writer after all. I did write like my own like Halloween script to this thing here. That of course wasn't Daniel Farron's, was one that I did myself, and I had Brackett as the Man in Black. That was my choice. But I definitely am all for Mitchell Ryan in the role. He does a great job. He's a great actor, and it's nice to see him in something that's not comedy. It's not a Darman Gregg thing. He's actually going back to more serious stuff. Of course, Mitchell Ryan is an actor that I saw first back in my days of soap operas, back on All My Children. He played the father of Jeremy. It was like this kind of character that in All My Children was of one of the many men that dated the Erica Kane character over the years. And he would actually, this guy that played Jeremy, just to throw out a little bit of like trivia there, actually acted in a really cool, pretty much Dean Koontz movie called Whispers, where he played a psychopath, played like twins. Now, back to the movie. I gone off track there for a second.
There's a long detour.
Yeah. But, yeah, so we get to meet Tommy. Tommy discovers the baby in a really clever sequence, which apparently wasn't in the theatrical cut, you said.
I don't remember it in the theatrical cut. All I remember is him appearing at the train station and finding the baby, which confused me a lot.
He does, and we see like how clever Tommy is. Tommy is using like I guess modern day at the time technology to like track things in and keep things in order.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you take over for a second while I go and put on the kettle, and he's gonna talk more about the film because he hasn't got to talk very much.
No, I haven't.
I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna like totally blow his ideas out of the water with my maze.
Now, one thing you have to understand about this film is that it's originally called Halloween 666, the origin of Michael Myers, and that is a hugely prevalent thing and a fairly fitting name because this goes into the mythology of the Michael Myers universe, I guess you could say. And oh boy, does it fit with, say, Halloween 3, because as explained in this film, Michael was one of many kids for probably hundreds of years that a specific cult called the Cult of Thorne has cursed in a way. The whole premise is that the Mark of Thorne corresponds with a demon who, whenever it appears in the sky, basically, which happens every astrological symbol, happens every few Halloweens. It's really vague on exactly when, because according to what's said in the thing, it happened once in the original time, and then it happened again, and then it happened 10 years later, and then a year later, and then 6 years later. It's really random, but the whole point is that Michael is one of the children that they got to sacrifice his family to this demon, so that
it's not a demon. It's
they mentioned that it's supposed to be some sort of demonic force that causes famine and death.
Force. I wouldn't say it's actually a demon entity in itself. I'd say it's more like more of an overall arcing
I'm gonna guess. Presence. Well, it's supposed to be pagan, so probably an elder
that being
god
said,
of evil and
this
stuff
is this is not something new. This is not something that just came out of nowhere.
It's not.
If you actually read the novelization of Halloween, the original novelization, there is a prologue, and there's a prologue about a tribe and and murdering. So it's kind of it's kind of a throwback to that. It's as early as part 2, we got the Sam Hain reference.
Yeah.
On the chalkboard in the second
and
film.
I'm fine with Sam Hain references, and I'm fine with
the idea of linking back to the thing in the novelization.
It's obvious that whoever
But-
wrote this, which was Daniel Farrens,
Yeah.
was obviously a huge fan of the films because he knew them inside and out, and you can tell when he's watching,
Yeah.
when they're writing this film.
But, as I've explained before, I don't like the idea of giving him a full origin, especially not one that makes him a lapdog. Because that's what he is. And no matter what, you're like, you said that, and like, that's what he's become in the film. But that's not it. He's always been a lapdog. Before, what was this person who, for no reason, just completely lashed out. He had a perfect childhood. Family was pretty nice. He just snapped and was evil because he was evil. And that's what made him scary. That's why he's referred to as the Shape originally. Not just, oh, it's Michael Myers. It's the Shape. Because it doesn't matter who he is behind the mask. He's literally just a force.
I don't
But-
like this movie, Matthew.
Don't
Review it for
stop
him.
it, Man in
Give it a
Black.
good review.
But now, it's explained that no, it wasn't because he was initially evil and that he is some dark force. It's that a cult of people who are into pagan stuff decided that he would be the next in a line of people they cursed into killing. And that makes him a lapdog. That makes everything he's
I
done.
think that you have I think, well, what I took from was that the darkness has to be there. There has to be some darkness that is there
It's
in
fine
order
that
to get that. But, you know, and what even gets me even more is that, although, yeah, I gotta agree. I agree with a lot of the stuff here. I don't think Michael needs an origin and stuff like that. But if they're going to give him an origin, if they're going to end it, and this is going to be it. Like, this has been 6 movies. We've seen progression of the movies. We've seen it. And if they wanted to end it or they wanted to go in a different direction, I can see what they're doing here. And
But
what
it
is
was
heartbreaking, what is sad, and what is really sad is that now you realize that any chance Michael had, any chance that this kid, this blank, whatever, empty husk of a kid, of a monster, had of any salvation at all, any chance he had with Loomis, any chance of connection, is gone. Because now you know that he is going into his damnation every time. He is,
Smith
he's,
drove, yeah.
yeah,
And
right from
it's
as a kid,
interesting.
At 6 years old, he's going there, and you mean like,
I honestly, things I would have preferred. One, the idea of part 4, the whole like, oh, the darkness must be there. That was introduced in part 4, when Daniel Harris's character Jamie, as a kid, freaks out and stabs her mother at the end.
Yeah.
Which, you know, fits
Well,
with the
because-
idea.
well,
I
she
like-
doesn't
I
really,
like-
it's because of Michael's psyche.
It's explained in the next one. It's like you're like, I like to think more that you said you had your own little thing. My personal thing is that, as you said, the novelization, it shows that, like, back in the past, it shows a guy killing his family and stuff like that. I like to think that just over the history and all, there has been that darkness in people, and Michael currently is that darkness. He doesn't need any demonic thing. He doesn't need to explain what it is or why. I like to think that he is, as said, just evil. That's it. He doesn't have an explanation. There's no supernaturalness to it. There's just something in him that's evil. And when someone like
unexplained.
Jamie's character... What?
The unexplained. This makes him
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. When Jamie's character is traumatized like that, that she sees her... She already has people, like, in part 4, like, making fun of her, and she's got, like ties with her family's a bit, like, strained. So when she sees that, it starts to influence her because, you know, when that darkness does enter, as with every character who saw it previously,
The darkness
It's-
seeps in, Matthew.
yeah, when you look into his eyes, the devil's eyes, it affects you. And I like that. I like the idea of it passing on to another kid, mostly not because of any curse or weird stuff, but because he is just that force.
But doesn't the character in this one, it's Danny, right? Doesn't he kind of have that too? Doesn't he have like the horror, like the kind of thing without getting into like a Rob Zombie? Doesn't he have like kind of bad,
He
like,
does
kind of
have...
dark side that you can kind of see coming through
You
there?
can see, like, the dark side and all
I
that stuff.
gotta say that,
But it is...
it takes you out of it when the man in black suits is on.
Danny, kill them. Do it for him, Danny.
It's, which also makes the initial snapping in the original Halloween so it pads it down so much when it's explained that apparently that's the exact same thing that was happening to Michael. what we thought was just a kid losing his mind, just snapping and submitting to some sort of darkness, was literally just apparently just take the original scene and just pretty much put this in there.
Michael, kill your sister. Michael, do it. Come on.
But that being said, let's get to one thing here. Does it work as a film if this wasn't called Halloween?
As a film, this wasn't called Halloween? Yeah, sure. Hell, if they went with the whole, like, if this was a sequel to Halloween 3, it would have been even better. It makes more sense.
And you know what? Does this work better than Rob Zombie's?
Oh, God, yeah. No, it makes much more sense than Rob Zombie's one.
Like a lot
but
of people
I don't think
say,
it should
and
have
I
an
think I've said it
explanation.
before, is that, and I'll agree with you on that part, but, and I want to put these two together because we're probably going to be doing the zombie movies sometime soon.
Yeah.
Is that you say, some people say, if it wasn't called Halloween, Rob Zombie movie would be okay. And, I revisited that, and I'm going to be revisiting it again, but it's not okay. It's not
I revisited that, I think, the most recently out of the both of us.
Yeah,
I watched it again. It's not a good movie. It's really not. The characters are all, like, one-dimensional and annoying.
There's some good actors, but it's a horrible film.
Taylor Scott
not tell too much.
We're going to go into that later.
But anyway, overall, I got to say, the presentation of this movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
The score overall is great. There's a couple weak spots. There's no audio syncing problems like we saw a little bit of in Part 4 and 5. We
have to address
the movie. What's that?
The fucking runes scene.
Well, we get that in a second. The movie, it's the characters that are brought into this movie, although we gotta agree some of them do end up being kind of wasted.
So much wasted potential in this entire trilogy.
Introduced it so strongly that I think we could have gone somewhere with this. I think that the next movie, we probably would have had Michael back in the mask again. We've had, but we should still have. We shouldn't have lost Tommy Doyle. Whether we had to recast it with another strong actor. Paul Rudd is an amazing actor for this type of role. And what you want to talk about the rune scene?
Yeah. One of the things that makes this origin really bad. Well, any origin at all is bad, as I've said before. I think that's one of the places where you just don't step with Michael. But
rocks.
There's obviously a lot of supernatural stuff based to this. It explains that he has powers as well. The gift of the Thorne and stuff.
Did you notice
like
that they didn't do the whole X-Files sequence in this one? That was in the theatrical one?
Oh, yeah.
Like the whole bunch of other aborted kind of fetuses, evil fetuses.
It's weird.
Which made no sense at all.
Yeah, and there's a completely different ending to the theatrical one where they run into this other pirate. It's weird. But in this one, there's a part where earlier on he mentions, he explains what the Cult of Thorne is by explaining that the Thorne was an early rune symbol that had the most negative denotions because of the whole demonic force, sort of like evil
the plagues and all that thing.
The plagues and stuff like that they had to appease.
But it wasn't
so, near the end, they're being chased by Michael. Typical end of a Halloween movie stuff. And Tommy stops. And from out of nowhere, he pulls out of his pocket a bunch of rune stones.
We had him earlier in the film.
Yeah, well, actually, did he have them earlier in the film?
Yeah,
because he showed them on the screen, but I didn't know he had them.
No, he has them in his hand first, and then he shows them on screen.
Okay, because, it's Tommy Doyle. He throws them down. In a line, actually, when he first does it. It's not in a circle.
And
he cuts his hand, and he puts blood, and Michael starts choking him, and he goes, "Sam Hain!" And Michael stops, because he's frozen inside this circle of ruins. A circle of rocks has stopped Michael Myers.
Yes, it has become a circle. I guess like Ritz Crackers commercial where the Ritz moves on their own, but I guess the rocks kind of move in a circle or something like that. And so he's in a circle.
Not only is he the Cult of Thorne's bitch this time around, but now he is the bitch of rocks.
Not just
rocks have stopped him. I don't care.
It's ruins.
Blood and saying Sam Hain. That's hilarious.
But it doesn't stop. Let's get to that.
No, I was about to mention.
We're going to spoil it. This is all spoilerish, so you know that, guys.
I was going to make a reference, but I'm going to stay that for the stinger for this episode.
So basically, at the end of the movie, Donald Pleasance goes back in, and you kind of you feel at this point, I guess he feels sorry for all that Michael's gone through.
Yeah, because as we found out, he's just a lady.
So what have they done to you?
It's a silly baby,
Michael,
man.
And he takes off his mask, and it's not Michael, shocked while shocked. It is actually Wynn. And he says, "It's your game now, Loomis." And Loomis looks, and he starts to scream. And the Cult of Thorne comes onto his Gun to his
I
wrist.
get that he's supposed to be linked to him, but I don't understand considering the
And we
fact that
see Michael walking away, but now Michael's wearing the Man in Black's outfit.
Yeah.
'Cause he
That
can
might
change
actually
it
have been-
really fast.
that might have actually been an interesting idea if they were going to keep going along that line. If they wanted to like change it up, like
And have that kid be the
have
killer?
like the kid or someone like a different kid be the killer, like be the new Michael.
Okay, that's
I could see him as the
I gotta
getaway.
ask one question now. Thorne was the Man in Black, right?
Yeah.
Thorne, no, Wynn
Wynn.
was the Man in Black.
Yeah.
Wynn said he wanted his replacement to be Loomis.
How does that work?
Well, I'm getting to that. Now, the kid is the next evolution in
Michael.
In Michael, right?
Yeah.
Michael becomes the Man in Black.
Yeah.
The Thorne symbol goes on Loomis's wrist. If Michael is the Man in Black, shouldn't that mean that Loomis is going to be going out killing his family?
Yeah. I don't even understand how the whole Man in Black thing worked. Like, you'll be my replacement. But the thing is, no one went up to... I'm assuming no one went up to Wynn and said, "You're evil now! Look at the thorns on your hand!"
Apparently, yeah, that's how it works.
But, like, that
But-
doesn't make any sense. They
so
all
what-
chose to be cultists.
The end of the producer's cut basically says the kid's okay. The kid's is saved thanks to like them. And thanks to
Michael
Tommy and
is,
stuff.
I guess,
But
the
Michael
Man in
is
Black.
the Man in Black, and Loomis is the new Michael Myers.
Yeah.
You didn't pick that up on that?
No, it's weird. That is weird.
So
That's
my-
really weird.
Oh.
I
So,
mean...
does that mean like the next one is supposed to be like, I have to kill all of my family that I've been ignoring for the last 30 years?
Which, by the way, considering we got no confirmation of him having any,
It's in the comics and stuff. These
in the
guys'
comics,
sons.
yeah, but the comics are wishy-washy with stuff. Like, I mentioned to you
Yeah, Dance is
off-screen
amazing.
the whole Ben thing, I think, and I think that in that universe, 4, 5, and 6 never happened. I think that's part of the
H2O universe.
12820 universe.
But we gotta say, it wasn't. I wasn't bored. It was a good movie. It was like a decent movie. Was it like how I wanted them to go through Halloween series? No, not at all. It was a really
This was the film
bold
that
step.
this was the film that would have been a good film if it wasn't called Halloween.
Yeah, and this is another film that also we don't know how the potential this movie totally had. I want to watch let's watch this with commentary and stuff like that because there was such big fighting and sequences between the writer and the director and everything. This one here, there was a lot, and you really got to go into it and look at all the features. There's a lot of features on this one for a reason, guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff to know. There's a lot of history behind this one. This one we've been waiting for this one for ages. And overall, I gotta say, the film, is it the best Halloween sequel? No. But does it deliver on what it promises? Yes, and that and more. The producer's cut is better than the theatrical cut.
Oh,
If you're more of a
by far.
gore hound, maybe the theatrical cut may be interesting for those sequences. You want to see some like gore? Watch the theatrical cut for that because you're not going to watch for any kind of semblance of any sense or any type of.
Will say though, the producer's cut adds in the glorious other thing, other than the runestone scene, of Michael raping Jamie.
We don't really see it.
We
It's
don't see it, but it's heavily implied, and that's horrible and icky, and completely against the relationship that was established in the last two films between Jamie and Michael.
But he's being controlled by the Rune cult.
Once again, awful. Completely awful. Michael is nothing more than a voiceless, boring Darth Vader in this film. And I'm talking like Return of the Jedi Darth
I love
Vader.
the outfits at the cult.
The silly
It
outfits.
looks like something out of a Monty Python like sketch.
They do look like they picked it up at a Halloween store.
It's like, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Also, we have to mention Barry Sims. Oh my god.
Yeah. Sorry.
Apparently, Howard Stern was supposed to be in this movie, but he had to pull it at the last minute because he was making his own movie about his actual life. And they got another actor, and I'm sorry, but nobody else can pull off the crap that Howard Stern manages to sometimes pull off.
Wow,
this is horrible.
Is she this? What was it again? Like,
She's
she's this like rowdy and bad. I bet she wears crotchless panties and barks like a dog. No, stop. What did I say about lines you can't say in a Halloween film?
Yeah.
There's that one. There's some stuff last night. There's Sam Hain. And one I missed in my Part 5 review there. You don't understand. When you get older, there's people who make you feel like your heart's connected. Like it's full of neon. Shut up, Tina. Don't talk.
Somebody should say that at the beginning of the film.
We should probably do the whole trilogy thing now.
Yeah.
The whole, like, what do we think of the trilogy?
Part 4 is obviously the shining gem of this here trilogy.
This
By
is
far and large.
Oh,
Part
God,
4
yeah.
has so much potential. Everything works out. It's very workmanlike in the fact that it's not scary.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's just so well done. The acting is well done. The characters are well done. The writing is good. The cinematography is good. It's not great. The cinematography in Part 5 gets better, but the storyline falls apart more. The protagonists are people that you really can't invest yourself in.
No.
They're not interesting. Loomis's character takes a complete different change in the turn.
Yeah, in 5.
That's like shocking. And although there's kind of a progression there, the progression really shouldn't have gone that far.
No, not at all. Especially in the course of a year.
Part 6 brings back the stronger characters. We have better sets in this one than in the other two films. We have some great actors in this one here, which makes the Barry Sims character even more glaringly bad because there's other great acting going on around him. There are some interesting things that are brought in here. They didn't need the origin storyline.
Not at all.
But whether,
I can get behind the idea of a cult obsessing over Michael, but I can't deal with the cult being the idea.
Would have went on if we would have found one thing. I think basically, and I like to think this because it's the way that I saw it. And watching this here, when I first saw the movie, I did not think, okay, this cult is controlling Michael or anything like that.
Yeah.
I thought, and this was my thoughts at the time, was, oh, Michael's fucking with the cult type of thing.
Yeah.
And, basically, he's got a place. This is a safe haven. This is where Michael's been going.
I think I would have liked, you mentioned...
I think they would have went... I actually kind of think they would have went that way. I don't think they would have kept up with the Thorne thing in that sense. I think that the Thorne thing was a delusional cult that thought they controlled something that they could never, ever really control.
You mentioned, and I mentioned this in the Part 5 review, you having mentioned it to me. The original idea in Part 5 was that a Satanist was supposed to get him and put the mark of Thorne on.
That's actually shot. There is a scene. The scene was actually shot. It's like a young guy, kind of a skinny, kind of punk-looking guy. He's kind of like a satanic type character. He's taking care of Michael, which gives him more of a reason for him to be taking care of Michael.
Yeah.
And it's actually got a really good death scene. He kind of like puts him up over his head and like cracks his back down. Like there's a whole Bane thing on him, right?
Yeah.
And
I think,
and he puts the mark of the Thorne thing on him and he puts it on himself too, or he has it on himself.
Yeah.
Puts it on him
Matthew's gonna do a little bit of fanficky ass shit right here, but I think it would have been nice if they used that sequence, and if they want to do the cult thing in this one, like have a cult basis for it, don't make it his origin or anything. Don't give him an origin, but if he like was involved in the cult, he put the thing on them. Say they found the body of one of their cultists like broken, and they saw like the evidence that he was around there. Have it a cult that was obsessed with him in the first place. That'd be awesome. A cult of the Thorne or a cult of Sam Hain, imagining Michael as Sam Hain. Perfect. That sounds awesome. I like it. I'm writing that down right now. I'm putting in the ideas stuff.
But I think at the end of the day, I think that's, although that obviously isn't the way that the movie is kind of going. I think that is actually what was kind of meant. I think that if the writer would have gotten to actually write the film out the way that he wanted to and stuff like that, we would have seen that the cult didn't control Michael from the beginning. We didn't need that. That wasn't needed there. It wasn't like this. There, now. This is why the boogeyman's like this.
Yeah,
there's
that's what it was.
But and you don't need that. But overall, the fourth and the sixth movies are the strongest films in the series. The producers cut, not the theatrical cut. Ignore that. Part 5 is definitely the weak link, but it does have some nice little sequences.
I like to call this the trilogy of missed opportunities.
Yeah, that's a good one actually. And the mask in Part 5 is the worst of the masks that you will see until the 5 or 6 masks in H2O. What the hell is that? We'll talk about that one later on.
Yeah.
But overall, we've gone on for 40 minutes.
We have. Well, to be fair, we're talking about the entire trilogy right now.
We are, yeah. And this is the pretty much the culmination of the last couple of videos.
I think much like I would, if I was going to sit down, I would watch Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2. The first 4 Friday 13th. No, don't even. The first 4 Friday 13th films. The first 5 Nightmare on Elm Street films, maybe skipping 2.
There is a Hellraiser connection here. We can't forget that the guy that did this, that directed the theatrical cut of this movie, is the same guy that directed Hellraiser Bloodlines. He also took over the directing role in that one from Jeff Yeager.
That's bad,
That was a really, really badly done.
yeah.
They had a character they brought in, Angelique, who was actually really good, and she was extremely wasted in that film.
Another link to the missed opportunities thing. But I think watching 1, 2, and 4 of Halloween is probably the best Halloween experience you're going to get. None of the other films match up. Like, 3 is really fun, but it doesn't
What
fit.
about H2O and the screenplay Halloween?
3 is really good as well. I suggest watching it also, but it's not... It's like, if you're going to watch, like, if you're going to go sit down with someone and say, like, hey, I've heard Michael Myers is scary, show me something about it. 1, 2, and 4 are the ones you would sit down and watch.
There and watch them in a row.
It's a trilogy. It's a perfect trilogy, and it ends well with the, like... You can end it there with the whole, like, oh, look, the curses... Well, the darkness is passed on. But 5 and 6, though introducing good things,
Doesn't
only really Tommy Doyle and the idea of Jamie as, like, sort of a link to him, in not in a psychic way, but in, like, the she knows he's coming sort of way, in the pictures she does at one point. It doesn't live up to part 4 or the originals, and it just
And that being said, you know
panders too much to stuff.
I really think that Rob Zombie, when he's making Halloween 2, the worst Halloween film and one of the worst films that have been ever made, put on celluloid of all time.
Yeah.
By the way, Rob Zombie said the worst movie that he's ever seen, the worst horror movie it's ever put on, was Dracula 2000.
I've never seen Dracula 2000.
Actually, it's called Dracula.
I thought about it.
I got it.
Oh, do you?
And that's the worst, with Jared Butler and Johnny Miller. But that's his worst movie. I mean, he made friggin' like H2, and that's his worst movie. Screw you, Rob Zombie. But here's the thing: he took the worst parts of the trilogies, like of the second trilogy, and he added them. I mean, he brought in the mask, the horribly the recurring mask from Part 5.
Yeah.
He brought in the psychic link from Part 5. I think, did he just watch Part 5? Was that the one?
Yeah.
Well, Part 1, my God, this is perfectly like...
He saw the dad character from Part 6, and he was like, this is every character.
Yes,
Every character except for Michael is this guy.
This is totally what Michael is all about. and he didn't understand the characters. He didn't understand the stuff. And we should stop talking, because we're going to be talking about it.
We're going to...
But thank you guys for watching this, and for staying with us. We've still over 42 minutes. Thanks a lot.
We've done this a lot. Whenever I come over, it's really long videos.
And we like the way this is done. We've been enjoying this. We hope you guys are enjoying this. We're going through this, guys, for you guys. After, we want to do the whole series for you. We're doing them in chunks like this because movies that kind of relate to one another.
Like these 3. Oh, these 3 were...
So, would you buy the Halloween set?
Oh, I would love to buy the Halloween set just for the sexy black cases alone. But I would love to watch, like, I've been meaning to a Halloween...
the Halloween set is a must-own for horror fans, I think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, people say, well, it's not as fancy as the... Look at this.
Yeah.
Well, on some horror site, things that it's not as fancy as the Friday the 13th tin. Tin is not that very good.
No,
good
not at all. Yeah.
And the movies that don't even get their own case, right? It's just, anyway, but that's like a gripe I've had ever since that people saying, well, I'm not sure if this set is, like, fancy enough. What the hell do you want? I mean, like, it's got original artwork, it's got snazzy cases.
I like the look of this. Like, the look of the set itself
is amazing.
Especially with the, like, cool artwork on the sides. Oh, it's really nice.
There's no reason not to have this if you're a Halloween fan. It's one of funds type thing. Yeah. But if this is a movie if this is a box,
use your rent money.
No, use your rent money.
Don't pay child support.
Listen to him. Buy the box set. Do it for him. Michael wants you to buy the box set.
It's worth it, guys. It's really worth it. We've had a fantastic time watching these. We're watching the features, watching the movies, looking at just the cool artwork, the book and stuff like that, and amazing stuff. Oh, Spy the movie guys got a really good talking about the a mistake made in the book where since Michael didn't use the knife in the first movie on the female characters, and actually, of course, he stabs Laurie and he slits and his throat, and it was really thing because the first time I watched Halloween on Blu-ray was like a few days ago, and first I don't know if I blacked that out or what, but I'd always caught the choking of Andy's character, but I never really picked up on the slit throat when I was watching it before. And I've watched this millions upon millions of times. Literally, the film I've watched more than anything else. For some weird reason, that scene I just never picked up on until the
There's certain things that, like, if you watch them again, I think there's, like, several things in my favorite series, like Puppet Master, where I've watched it again, I was like, oh, I remember that being how they died. That's interesting.
It's layered that way. In case you know Orphan,
I know.
Over and over again. If you know what I'm talking about, you're awesome, and you'll watch the series extras. Thanks for watching. For me right now, it's time for tea.
He was stopped by the power of the ruins.